The white and black wealth difference expands. So let's look at this article from the Center for Retirement Research over at Boston College. The Squared Away, well, this is not even a Squared Away blog. This lady right here, the white-black 401k gap widens. Oh boy. And so you see home equity is blue and the light blue is retirement and other savings. So seeing home equity isn't that big of a divergence. The blacks don't have that much relative to whites when it comes to retirement accounts and other savings. And age 65 and over is even more. Home equities, about not quite double, but still a lot more home equity for whites, but a lot more 401ks for whites. So I had a comment, and let's see if say it's on there. Though I'm sure they'll delete it at some point. And I said, man, I didn't realize there are only blacks and whites in America. Could have sworn, at least looking at my school district, that this country is a heck of a lot more diverse than that. The focus on black versus white is so 1960s. And I just find it funny that they're the whole thing's just, it drives up the wall. And the thing about the Center for Retirement Research is most academics now at this day and age, like everything is under the construct of race. We love Martin Luther King, except you're so heavily focused on race. I guess you don't love Martin Luther King, do you? I hate to say it, but if you're focused solely on people's skin color, what does that make you? A racist, does it not? If everything revolves around the color of somebody's skin, doesn't that make you a racist? I think it kind of does. Oh, but Josh, you don't understand, man. America's systematically racist, systemically racist. It is. It was. And it still is against Asians and whites right now, for sure. We know this. Silly to say otherwise. It was against blacks, 100%. It was. That's why I'm somewhat sympathetic to the whole idea about reparations. I get the argument 100%. It's not going to happen because it's just, it's not going to happen. And in fact, you can make an argument. We've already been having reparations in many, many ways with affirmative action, things of that nature. So at the end of the day, it's like, all right. But the facts are, let's take a look. What are the facts about why blacks are so much lesser financially than whites? And you can't say it's a Tulsa massacre in 1906. You just can't, because that was over 100 years ago. What could it possibly be? Why? It's funny too. Sometimes they'll trot out the black and brown. Hispanics and blacks are way under relative to whites. I was like, wait, whites, Hispanics, and blacks. Seems like there's a large population of the society that's being missed in here. Wonder why that would be. Well, here, what's the population that we're missing here? This is for married households with, two-parent households by race. Now, the left hates when we talk about this because this is their anti-systemic racism thing. They say, now you're blaming the victim is what they say. This is the issue right here. Nothing else matters. If you're raised in a two-parent household, the likelihood that you're going to be financially successful is significantly higher than someone who was raised in a one-parent household. And that, my friends, is just a fact. The left hates that because they know. And that's why they don't like to use the Asians in here either, because Asians actually have more money, more wealth than whites do. So if you only look at whites and you look at it versus blacks, you're like from 1960. Okay, well, now we're in 2024. So then they got to throw Hispanics and blacks, black and brown versus white. You still say, well, I think there's a pretty significant Asian population which has more net wealth than whites. And that completely throws away the racist for America thing in here. It's just, it's silly, it's embarrassing. But this is the left, man. They're good at what they do. Anyway, so let's look at this right here. Two-parent households. Asians, the wealthiest group in America, shocking, have the highest proportion of two-parent families of any race ethnicity, comprising of 84% of all Asian families. White families were 82%, Hispanics 71%, Native Americans, blacks at 46.9. Let's see what that was in 1990. Let's see what it was now, though. Ready? This past April, right here. In the United States, more than 23 million children live in single-parent families. This total has risen over the last century and currently covers about 1 in every 3 kids across America. A number of long-term demographic trends have fueled this increase: marrying later, declining marriage rates, increasing divorce rates, and uptick in babies born to single mothers. All right, right here. So, right here, Black and American Indians are most likely to live in single-parent families, with 63% of American Indians, blacks, and 50% of American Indians living in this demographic. So 2/3 of blacks are living in single-parent households. Only 24% of whites, is still too high, but 1 in 4 whites are living in single-parent households. Asians, 16% are living in single-parent households. They're least likely to live in a single-parent households. Latinos, aren't you supposed to say Latinx? I think they're trying to say Latin now. It's so stupid. And multiracial kids have 42% live in single-parent households for Spanish speakers, and 39% for multiracial. I mean, that's just, and then you can see single-parent households right here by, oh, look. Anyway, the point is, you're always going to have a discrepancy until you have men taking charge of households. And the sad thing is, what the left has done to inner city households is just evil and destructive, starting with Webb Du Bois and his band of evil tyrants from Margaret Sanger on down. That's just a fact. Webb Du Bois, NAACP, Margaret Sanger, man, they love them some single-family black families. That's just a fact, dude. It's horrible. And the whites will freaking fund that. The rich northern whites will fund that all day long. Why do you think the abortion clinics are in the inner cities? Why do you think they're so, it's so crazy, man. We're going to give you freaking supplemental security income, but we don't want your man in the house. It's evil. It's 100% evil. And then the men, unfortunately, for some reason, they're glorified with how many baby mamas they have and stuff like that. It's freaking sick. You know, Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Let's take a look at what old Daniel Patrick Moynihan said from many, many years. Whereas, right, this was written in 1989. So this is Daniel Patrick Moynihan defining deviancy down, in which he talked about in 1965. And then he's got a follow-up article in this right here. And he says, in 1989, hold a second, right here. In 1965, having reached the conclusion there would be a dramatic increase in single-parent families, I reached a further conclusion that this would in turn lead to a dramatic increase in crime, which it did happen, 100%. Now, people say, well, it didn't happen in the 1990s and 2000s because we had incarceration rates we didn't have recidivism. We said we had 3 and out and stuff like that. And then we simply got rid of all that now. So now we have high single family households plus a very liberal tendency not to put criminals away. In the 1990s with Giuliani and then like the mayor of Indianapolis and all these Democrats, actually hard and tough on crime Democrats, said, no, if you commit a crime, you're going to jail. The broken window theory and whatnot. And so we were able to have a declining in crime because they put the predators in jail. Because there's a group, about 5-10% of the population who commits all the crimes, essentially. And they said, if we can put those people in jail, we'll have less crime. And they were 100% right. And now we're back to having high illegitimate births, essentially, single family households. And now we have very liberal policies when it comes to crime. Writing in 1989, Sarah McClanahan and Karen Booth noted, whereas a decade ago, this would be 1979, the prevailing view was that single motherhood had no harmful effects on children, recent research is less optimistic. And Daniel Patrick Moynihan, not a right-winger. In fact, I think he's worked heavily as a big Kennedy administration guy, if memory serves. He talked about defining deviancy bent down in the 1960s, saying this emphasis on single-parent households is going to lead to significant structural problems in the United States. So you can talk all the way along about the disparities between blacks and whites, as if blacks and whites are the only ethnic or racial groups anymore. That's just stupid. Until you define what the cause of that is, it's not racism. It's a lack of 2-parent households. And you're white. What do you know? Having been raised from a single mom than a single dad, I know. It's only but for the grace of God that I found my way out of that. That's for sure. And let me tell you right now, my kids are a hell of a lot better than I was at their age because they have 2 parents to watch over them and to give them guidance. All right, God bless.